Hello and welcome to a new episode of Airport CEO, where we today will continue our construction of London City Airport. We will find out why our medium stands don't work, and I promise you we will work it out, because what we will also have here is our first test run. So we will have some first aircraft coming in with passengers, and we will be working on the departure hall and the security check area as well. So that and much more right after the drop. As always, before we get too far into today's video, if you should end up enjoying today's episode, then don't forget to leave a like. That would be very much appreciated. And of course, if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. Alright, so we ended up last time, well, other than of course finding out that there are animals in the game now, we were struggling to actually get our medium stands going. There was some issue that they were not connected to the security checks. And, well, I was a bit baffled because, in my opinion, they are, but obviously the game says they're not, so there must be something wrong. There was a comment saying, basically hinting at that it had maybe something to do with on what level the security checks were in comparison to, or in relation to the gates. However, I have had multiple builds where security checks and gates were on different levels, both with gates being above or underneath security check levels, and that has never impacted the gates working or not. But nonetheless, I thought, okay, perhaps maybe there has been some small change or something that I have just not noticed. So I did add another security check on ground floor level, where our boarding desks as well are, just to be sure that we can rule this out. So basically then we will have a security check on the same level as our boarding desks. Ultimately, we'll then use this security check as a staff-only security check, so they don't have to go through the main security check area, basically. So they have this like back entrance here. But yeah, so just to make sure that that actually works, and that the level on which the security checks does not impact whether our gates work or not. So yeah, I mean, the best way to find out is simply just to rule out any possibilities. So we constructed the security check. We've added more security staff to be sure that it will be manned. We sorted out all the zoning around that, because we've removed some walls and then there's normally no zoning there and stuff like that. And after we've done all that, we can now definitely rule out that the level on which your security checks are on the level and the level your boarding desks are, that has nothing to do with the issue we have here, which is also corresponding with all the experience I've had so far in the game, that the game doesn't care on which level you put your things. It will still work. But our stand, of course, still didn't work, so there must be something else. So the other thing I was thinking about was basically the game has been updated quite a lot since we've started working on this airport. It has moved from Alpha 35 to Alpha 36, and now has actually officially been moved into beta. So I thought, well, one thing that can happen when you move from one update to the other is that some things bug out. So perhaps our stands have bugged out. So I removed the stand and replaced it, but unfortunately that also did not solve the issue. Also, after having connected everything up again, it still said that it had no connection to the security check. And to be honest, at that point I thought like, okay, this is really strange. What else can I try? And I was kind of giving up to solve it for this episode. So I started working on something else. And the first thing that sprung to mind was the incident we had in the last episode, where we suddenly had animals running around on our airfield. So I guess we need to fence it off. But, well, I mean, I hope this works, because I didn't plan to having to do that, really. So we just add one piece of fence here, because that's as far as we can go to the edge. Hopefully that will work. But it bothered me that I couldn't fix the gate, and obviously I want to have aircraft coming in for today's episode. So I went back at it, and this time we solved it. So firstly, I was checking, well, the security checks. Do they say they're connected? And yes, they do say they're connected. So they're not the issue. Even if they're switched off or not fully manned, they should still recognize that they belong to these stands. So I was starting to think, what am I doing different in this airport to all the other builds I've done so far? Because I mean, the basic structure is the same. You have security checks, you have boarding desks, and it doesn't really matter on what level they are. So what's different? Well, the big difference to this airport compared to all the other airports I've built so far is, of course, that here we want to separate inbound and outbound traffic, or passengers basically. That's the biggest difference from this airport to any other build so far. And that's where the issue was. So I have never structured any of my airports like this before, so everything I knew on how to do it was basically coming from screenshots from the developers themselves. And they had added a wall straight up to basically where the passengers are coming in or going out of the airport terminal when boarding or deboarding the aircraft. And apparently that doesn't work. So we actually need to leave basically 2 small squares space. That needs to be free, otherwise the boarding desk will simply not recognize that it has access to the gate, and the gate will therefore say, wait a minute, I don't have access, or there's no pathway for passengers to go to or from the security check, and that's it. As soon as I'm figured that out, so here I'm adding the wall again just to check, and see straight away it says now I'm not connected. I remove these 2 walls, add again the security zone there, bang, it works. So even though the process was kind of frustrating, it often just comes down to these small things in the game why something doesn't work. So I hope this kind of helps you out in the sense that when you have issues in the game that some things just don't work out, try to backtrack, try to add alternatives and see how you can work your way around it until you kind of figure out what the actual issue is. In my case, it was just 1 piece of wall too much. But the good news is, now that the gate works, we can actually get an aircraft in and have our first test with passengers coming to and from our airport. And for that, of course, we need to have enough staff, so we're just adding a bit of that. We also need to have some equipment. Most of it we already have, we might need to add a little bit more, and then just figure out everything else on the way. We're just having a test run, so if something doesn't quite work yet, we will very quickly find out and we can fix it on the way. So let's also quickly sort out things we actually want to activate. Of course, ramp agent handling should be there. Ultimately baggage handling as well, but we also need de-icing because I don't think we can have aircraft in without it. Or in any case, we have the de-icing pads, so let's just get a contract there for some de-icing fluid. This one is the best, I think. Yeah, so let's go with them. Then of course we also want to have an airline actually coming in, and for that we need to have contracts. I'm just gonna quickly go through some of these just to see. We have quite a lot of offers, and I guess this is also a good point where you can start looking at what we have here and start suggesting things. Try to keep it realistic for London City. We might extend a little bit because we also of course can't choose the exact aircraft types coming in, but at least European airlines, no intercont traffic. Yeah, so, and I think the first contract we will sign is with BA City Flyer, just because that's definitely the most realistic contract to have here, because that's pretty much their base. So let's sign them. All right, so let's see, maybe they have already some offers, some flights they want to bring here. And they have one, and that's an international flight. And the international part we will try out, but I think we will do that in the next episode. So let's just continue our build while we're waiting for some other offers so we can get our test done. Because yeah, obviously we are technically now ready to take on flights, but I mean, our airport is still very much a construction site. It's not really welcoming to passengers. I think we can do better for our first passengers. So we should work on the departure hall, at least to add some floors. So let's do that here. I think we just go with some tiles here. We have this lovely little waiting area here as well with the not remote check-in desk, the automated check-in counters. And I think we can kind of highlight that by using some black tiles around that area. Gives a little bit of contrast, I think. This will of course be an area where we will have shops, so we give that some wooden floor and a little bit of decoration as well, of course, otherwise it looks very bare-boned. So the first thing we of course add is info screens, because that's, I mean, not just decoration but actually a useful tool and feature at any airport. You definitely want to know where to go, and the best way to figure out where to go in an airport is looking at the info screen. So loads of info screens, we can't get enough of those. We should also add some here at the baggage claim areas, definitely, because you're arriving, you want to know which belt you have to go to and when your luggage is coming and stuff like that. So let's also quickly do a little bit of work on this area. Basically, we're just now working on the areas where we know the passenger will spend a lot of time on, at least at the beginning, and just sorting out the basics here, adding some floor, and then we will go much more into detail in the coming episodes. Yeah, so that's, I think that can work. Of course, one thing we should also work on is a little bit of seating here, but what I'm thinking about is, of course, which is kind of important in the game now, is also the whole garbage thing. So you want to have trash cans, and I'm just trying to find them because they have, there they are. All right, good. So trash cans, we want to add a lot of trash cans just to avoid that we have trash laying around in the terminal, because that will definitely happen if we don't have enough of those. I think that is then work tasks that will ultimately affect the janitors, so we probably also need to hire a few more of those at some point. Some plants in the terminal, a bit of life, so it's not just steel and concrete. That's also, I think, important. And I think with these few small things here, we have created a nice environment here at the departure hall. So let me just check. No, still only one offer, and that's an international flight. We want a domestic flight. Game, give us a domestic flight. All right. Well, anyway, since we're waiting for that, let's continue working here, because we of course have some areas here for some shops. And that's a food room, or no? Yeah, that's a food room. Okay, so we have two food rooms here. I had a brain fart. I thought it was shops, but anyway, two food rooms here, that works out. We can have like two cafes or something like that. They're definitely too small for restaurants, but we can add some stuff here. So the cafe, I think we will just give a very simple layout. So we have the counters in the center basically, and I guess we will have kind of a pathway through there. Then on one side we will have basically all the food items, like something like this here, drinks on each side then. And given that it is a cafe or food room thing here in the departure hall, I think it's important that we also have a little bit of a seating area. Not too much, but just a little bit. I think that could also be quite popular with passengers just waiting to check in still. So let's quickly add that as well. And also a few plants here at the waiting area. I think that is all right. And then we can just copy paste that, switch it around, and voila, we have two cafes here in the departure hall. Right, so since we've done that, let's see if we have an offer. No, still not. Now another offer, but it's also international. Anyway, so we can sort out also the contracts for these shops now. They have reworked that. Earlier, these shops, these contracts were for a limited amount of time. When they expired, you needed to sign a new contract. They've changed that in a very, very good way, in my opinion, because now the contracts are indefinite, except if the shops don't make enough money, they will cancel the contract. Alright, so it doesn't look like a BA City Flyer wants to have the maiden flight here into London City, so let's increase our chances of getting an offer for a domestic flight, and let's find another airline. And I already have one in mind. I just need to check if we have an offer from that airline, because That would also be a very common sight here at London City, at least prior to Corona. I don't really know how it's looking right now. Let's see. I'm looking for it. Give me a second and we will find it. Just take a look as well, in the meantime, at the offers we have here. And if you see something you would like to see at the airport that is halfway realistic, then, you know, put it in the comment section below. And there it is, CityJet. That's the contract I was looking for. Alright, so we also quickly want to look at our control panel here. So we want to offer baggage handling. We have the icing on, ramp agents, we have the fuel. So that should all be good. And still only international offers. Are you kidding me? Alright, let me do some magic, and in 3, 2, 1, we can check for a new offer, and we have one. A domestic. Okay, I did speed up. I just waited, and then I caught, and well, anyway, we have a domestic flight now that will be coming in, I guess, a few hours in the game. So let's jump right ahead to that. Alright, so while it is dark outside, we can see there's a lot of traffic outside now, passengers arriving, and we can see the first issue already. I forgot to add some pedestrian crossings, which we definitely need to have, because otherwise they won't be able to come to the terminal, at least not the ones that have arrived by car. Taxi they can, but anyone else, you can see already the stream of passengers. Alright, so that issue has been solved. We also have the first passengers now coming here to the boarding desk, so that does look like everything is working fine here. Yeah, only one boarding desk for the flight. Okay, and then we have the luggage claim area. That does not have the flight yet on the board, but there's also still some time before it arrives. But jumping forward, and it should arrive any second now. I have quite a lot of general aviation, and there it comes. Our very first, the maiden flight, the first PAX traffic here at London City. Our runway doesn't seem to be in a good shape, so let's just quickly repair that. All right, so the time ticks. Oh my god, the watch is ticking. Oh my god, the watch is ticking. The time is counting down. Whatever you want to call it. We have a deadline now, because of course the aircraft needs to leave again. So let's figure out, let's see how things go. So the aircraft has arrived. Let's see, still there's some people walking around, but still no GSE. We have the equipment, at least I do believe so. But I guess it's a bit of a way to get over here, but I'm not quite sure if we can actually make that shorter. Now I can see some equipment arriving. Let's see. That's the stairs. Aha, and the game is actually now complaining that the stairs have nothing has arrived yet, but now of course it is there and the message has disappeared. Alright, so that's going on now, and I can see the first passengers are deboarding the aircraft and coming into our terminal, and they seem to walk through just the way we wanted to. So that's perfect. And we do have people waiting as well, but we have people waiting in... Why are they in both rooms? There's only one place where they can board the aircraft. I hope that's not passengers, because otherwise they will probably miss their aircraft or the flight. Interesting. The aircraft will be going to Belfast. I think they have reworked the routing. It does seem like it's a little bit more realistic these days, which is awesome if they have so. So fueling is going on as well. That's done now. They're taking off the luggage. Alright, so I found another little issue. While our baggage bay is activated, nothing is going on here because they are not manned. Now we do have the staff, but I've basically forgotten to open up this area, so the staff just cannot reach this area. Now I was thinking just to add a door there, but then they would have to enter the international zone, and I'm not sure if we actually have that open so they can go through there at the moment. And anyway, I would prefer actually if they just came from level -1 because that's where the baggage handling anyway is happening. So we're just gonna add some stairs here. So let's just quickly figure out where to place that so that it looks halfway realistic. So I guess somewhere here that could work. That doesn't work. And here around, let's put it there. Okay, let's check. And now the staff should be able to reach that area. So now we just need to wait for the workers to go over there. And then the whole baggage handling part can start happening. The aircraft will probably be a little bit delayed, but this is why we are doing this test run, to figure out all the small things that I've forgotten while building this. Yeah. Alright, we had to wait quite a lot of time before the workers came over here, which definitely means we will have to add a staff room over here so they don't have to walk as far. So now we have 2 workers here. And... wait, what? Why are they walking away again? They just arrived and they haven't done anything. And now 2 other workers are... And this game sometimes is, I mean, comedy gold, I guess. So now we have these 2 workers here. And they are also not doing any... Don't tell me they're leaving also. What? Okay, so we had 4 workers coming over here, but they have left. And now we have 2 new workers and they are starting to work. So... Anyway, okay, so the luggage thing should work now. You can see now the luggage is actually being handled. Hopefully they will also take the outbound luggage because the aircraft needs to go. Alright, so while we've been sorting out the luggage issue, the aircraft has been boarded now by passengers. I can see also we had the pushback truck, but they're still waiting, I guess, for the luggage, which the passengers over here as well are, that have arrived. But that should also, and there it comes. Very nice, the first luggage arriving here into the baggage claim area, so that's good. I can see now something's happening over here as well. And the luggage handling thingy is going away, so I guess they have... I guess the aircraft has been loaded. A little bit delayed leaving, but I mean, for a first test run, sorting out the first small issues, I think that's not too bad. I think let's get another aircraft in just to have a clean run through. Let's see, here we can we edit here? Yeah, all right, confirm. All right, so just to have another aircraft coming in, just to make sure that it really does work as it should. But I think the first test run, that wasn't too bad. So the first passengers for the next flight have already arrived and they've already pretty much done with check-in. So they are all going up to our security check, which is something we didn't really check with the first flight to see how that is going. And yeah, so we can already see we have some queue, and that's just for 1 aircraft. So imagine having like 13 aircraft at the same time with these 3 security checks. I think this area will get overwhelmed, and we mentioned it in the last episode that we could extend this area. So I think we will just do this right away as the last thing in today's episode, because I could imagine this would become a total bottleneck. It might even not be enough with the extension we're doing now, but at least we can do this here very simply and very quickly. So we should just do this straight right away. So yeah, and we should be able to okay, okay, this doesn't work. I would like to have 6 of them, so let's just remove all these quickly and have, yeah, move the whole thing 1 block over, and then we can add 3 more here, these 3 again, and then we have 6 security checks. Obviously completely overkill for the test runs, but as we could see, we already had a little bit of queue for just 1 aircraft. It's not bad, but if we have 13 aircraft at once, it could become a bottleneck. This way we're avoiding this, and that should then definitely help us out with the operations once the airport is getting a bit more busy. All right, so this was definitely the last thing I wanted to do in today's episode. I think we have done really great progress here at the airport. Don't forget to leave your suggestions for airlines, realistic suggestions for airlines we could add in the coming episodes in the comment section below. Of course, if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like. That also really does help us out. And if you are new around here, you're as always very welcome to hit subscribe. That would be absolutely awesome. With that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.